Hi everyone, this is Stephanie at Hightower Stitching with today's video. It's number 255. 255 pre was a section that talked about creating the 1-inch strips of tape that's used in this project. And I'll talk about that just a little bit, but not too much in this one. This is a great project, and I liked it because it was so pretty and it had several things that I had to figure out, and that's why this is a little longer video and there's not going to be any sewing in it, but I want you to have everything you need to know that might make this project easier if you'd like to try it, because it is a table topper. It's smallish, and you can see it's really pretty with all the green trim inside of there. We're going to talk about that. We've got two parts. We've got the center that we develop, and then after we get it partially trimmed out, then we do the outside, which she used. It was Seminole piecing, and it's really nice, and it got easier to do. How about that? But it's not hard. So right now we're going to get ready to start. This is from The Love of Quilting, Spring 2025, page 92. Okay, I'm going to start with the first part that is the trim, and the other one, it was a green color, and I chose to do, I'm going to do one that's red, white, and blue. And so here are my strips. But let me go back. I actually did a sample already, and it's up here on my sheet, and I went with pink and a variety. I thought pink and black. That's what I had that I was working on. And you can see there's a center panel, and it's got a lot of the trim in it. And then it's got the Seminole piecing rows, the ends and across the top. And then I've got a little bit of a change in the next part of it. And we'll get, as we get there, I'll just tell you why I did that. Okay, little detour there. Back to the strips. Okay, everything is pretty much width of the fabric. These are 1-inch strips, and I ran these, just a repeat of, I ran it through this piece for the tape maker, because I didn't want to have to worry, oh, is this 1/4, is this 1/4, because sometimes I can't tell with my machine, or I get tired. So I said I'm going to make sure that I'm using 1/4 inch seams on each one of those. They suggested doing 16 strips, and I found that 10 was better, and so I sort of stopped when I got to 10 because I didn't think it would be that many. Okay, this is related to the centerpiece. The print strips that you're going to need are going to be 2 3/8 times 21 1/8 inches long. And that would be these colored ones that I have that are the different red, white, and blue as you look down there. You're going to cut 2 from colors 1, 2, and 3. All right, and then you're going to take, and in a minute, you're going to lay it down like you want to see it. Well, there are 2 that you cut. For some reason, they have you cut 2 of each color, those colors, but then you're only going to use 5 colors in the strips. So in this one, and then you place them together, and the way I did it was that I had this nice color in this dark. That was my one piece, because you're only going to use 5. And then going out from that, I have red, and then out from that, then the last one over here on the end too is the blue star that's right here. So they got it all spread out there. All right, and so when that, you get that, all right, then your cream strips are going to be 4.5 inches wide by 21 1/8 long. Be sure you make them at least that long. It's okay if they're longer, just don't make them any shorter. And you want 4 pieces to put in between, and that makes your center. Now once you get your pieces cut, you want to come back to each one of your strips, and you want to start adding that trim. And it's really fun because I've had the 1/4 of an inch. I laid it on one side and I stitched all the way down, and then I went over to the iron and I gently pressed it down. And I did one side first and then I did the other side, and that made it easier to press. And you want to do that with all 5 of your strips. Then once you get those strips ready and you have your whites laying down, I'm going to tip this up a little bit. If you look up here at the right hand corner, to make this work right, you're going to take, and with the first color right there, the first one at the end, you're going to drop the white down 2 inches. Go ahead and sew it on and press it. And every time I pressed, just so that the tape would lay over, and so the layers are right here. I didn't worry about opening any seams, wasn't any need for that. Okay, so from your colored strip, it's a 2-inch drop. Now, when you get ready to drop from your cream down to your strip, you're going to drop it 2.5 inches. Okay, first drop's 2, next one's 2.5. All right, and then you start and you repeat that as you go into your strip. Your white is going to drop 2 inches and be sewed on and pressed. And then again, the next one, you've done 2, 2.5, 2. Then the next one's going to drop 2.5. And you keep doing that till you get to the end, and now you've got it where you're going to be developing that slant that you need. And you can see it's pretty good size, because what we're going for is it's about 31.5 inch middle piece that we're going to put in there. And for the next part, I thought about that where it's measure twice and cut once. Well, I measured like 2 or 3 times, 4 times before I ever got ready to cut. But before we get ready to cut, we have 2 things that we need to add to that long panel that you've got now. And that's 2 of your creams that are 4 by 9 inches. This is what's going to square up your shape, because right now everything's tilted over to the side. All right, so we're going to take one of those panels and we're going to add it onto the corner over here, over to the side of your piece, because when we get ready to cut, then this is going to be making that rest of the corner right there. The other corners are going to be fine except the one opposite it. So you're going to take the other strip and you're going to sew it hanging out there on the end. They're just going to be, it's going to be hanging out there. All right. So now move them, and we're going to pretend they're already sewn on. All right. And we're going to get ready to do our trimming to get it down to the right size. And the size that we want it to be is 31.5 long and 14.5 lengthwise. So first step is to come up here where you've got your white piece, and you want to get where you can have 2 3/4 inch from the corner from this piece of your white over to your first line. And so now this ruler, this is not the same size, but the point is that you would measure from there and make sure that that was 2 3/4 inches over, because that's going to give you the piece you need to make the corner. And once you get that, then check this side and see that it's 4 1/4 where it's going to make the corner come out. And once you get that, you don't have to worry about the other one. Then you go up and you can lay your ruler out, sort of eyeball it, check it out, that it's straight across. Come over and do your side. Drop it straight down, and you're going to want 14 1/2 inches on this side. Then once you have those two sides, you're ready to do I would probably do this right-hand side first, and you're going to drop down, and then you're going to square it off. You don't have any measurements for this one. It'll just fall into place. And then you'll have that really nice centerpiece that's 31 1/2 inches long. So then as you look at the one that I worked on, you can see that centerpiece, and you can see that that top left corner, it's a nice size. All right. And then I went ahead and I added the 2 trim pieces on the ends, and I ran into an issue with trying to decide how to get the long piece on the long side to work like she did. And I said, well, I'll just change it and I'll just let it run off the end, and it's not going to matter. And then when I ran it off the end, I added, after I did my border, the Seminole piecing in there. Then I ran another piece out here because I had run this off the end. And the sample that she did, these meet and go together. I didn't quite master that, so I said I'm just going to take it and have it come off. And the reason I'm telling you that is because sometimes it happens that you say, I can't quite get it, or I think I might like it another way. Plus, this made mine a little bit wider because I added an extra border. But on this, then I did the pink on both ends, and then I waited because I was going to get these next borders on the outside with that Seminole border. Okay, that was part 1. Now we're going to skip to the bands, making the bands. And what this one calls for is width of the fabric. These are 2-inch pieces. All of this is 2 inches. And you're going to take and cut a 2-inch from each one of your main colors that you had. That I had my 3 colors. And this time you add another color. You pick. And so in this case, I stuck with my stars, and I did that. And that's going to make it so you've got a 4-way pattern, and it comes out nice. So what you need, like I said, is 2-inch wide. Cut your prints, one from all 4 prints that you have. And then on your creams, you're going to do your width of your fabric. And you're going to cut them 2 inches, and you're going to cut 8, because you'll need 1 on each side of your band. Okay, so let's move this up a little bit. And I've already started 1 band. And the suggestions, and this works, is sew on one of your bands, one of the creams to your band. And once you get it sewn on, you're going to go over and you're going to set your seam, just the seam part right through there, because we don't want to distort the cream. And then you're going to come back, and this one went out, but I tended to, some of mine went in, but then you want to just gently push this back and come back down here and press that. I was trying to remember. Like that one's going to the inside. I liked the way it looked when I had it, the seam going to the inside of the band of this colored part. Okay, so get that sewn. Then what you want to do is trim up. Keep tossing it around. You want to take and trim this even. And then you're going to cut it into 2-inch sections. Now, one of the things is be sure that you have this at 1/4 inch. Don't make it a wide 1/4 inch. As close as you can, and you'll see why in a second when we start to put the pieces together. And so you'll have 4 stacks sitting there. Okay, now we have our 4 piles of colors, and this is from the first one. These are pieces I had left, and where I was going with black and pink, and so I was going to alternate these. So I would pick up one from the first pile and one from the second, and you can learn from me. I did the short side. I did the long side first with this, and I decided the next one I'm going to do the short side. The short side is going to use 7 of these. And you can, if you have a problem with it not being the right length, which is 15.5 inches, then you can fix it before you trim it and everything. But what you're going to do is you're going to take your first one and your second one. And you're not going to put them next to on top of each other like that, because that would make a 9 patch. And you're going for a different look. So what we're going to do is we're going to move the black, or the print, up 1 box. And I'm going to lay it down, and I'm going to say, okay, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking that I have about the 1/4 of an inch up there, which I do. But then the one that was tricky is to look at the bottom one and make sure that there is a 1/4 of an inch down there. And what I'm looking for is down at the bottom edge that I have a 1/4 of an inch, and I can see from the black back there down that I've got it, because you're going to need that to be able to trim off. Once I get it set like I like, then I take and I stitch from up here at my left hand all the way down to my right hand, and then when you open it up, you'll be able to see it. And that would be your first step. And then you take your next one, which was going to be this one, but if you'll notice, I got an oops on it. Because what happened was I went too deep in making my 1/4 inch, and so I don't have enough down here at the bottom like this one's got. This has got to be a 1/4 inch, because when you trim this off to make it a strip, you won't have enough for your seam. That's what that is about. So what I would have done, for the ones I was going to use, I just go back and make another seam towards the edge and then pull the other one out, because I'm only going to do, well, on that part 7. But that was one of the things I learned the first time. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to make a strip that looks like this. And it's got 7 pieces on it. And now let's look at what I was just talking about, see if this makes sense to you. Remember how I was looking for what was below the corner? Below the corner, below the corner? That's a 1/4 of an inch. And when we get ready to trim it off, we're going to lay this ruler so that that's a 1/4 of an inch down all the way across. And if we need to, we'll pull one down or push one up so that we get that nice and even and trim that off. And the same thing happens at the top. You're looking for that 1/4 inch at the top of there, and you're going to lay your ruler and move your ruler till you get it. And then if you have a piece that's not quite, like I pushed that up, well, that made this too big. I'm going to pull this one up just a little bit so I can see that I've got 1/4 of an inch across there. And if you see that you have it, then just go on to the next part. And we have to have some little squares to square this up, to help you square it up. So you're going to make 4 2-inch squares, and you're going to cut them diagonally. It's nice little squares. And we could put that on, but let's do this measuring first, because what you're going to need is the short ends where you have 7, we're going to use 7, you need to come up with 15.5 inches. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler right now where I've got this before I add my parts on, and I'm going to measure from here to here, and I see that I have 15.5. Well, the first time I put it together, I only had 15 inches. The whole thing just went that far, and I said, okay, now I know what to do. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to pick 2. It doesn't matter which ones. And I'm going to take and make my seam narrower out towards the outer edge. So I did that once. I did it twice. And then I laid it down. Oh, I took out that first row of stitches that I had. So then that made that a narrower seam. And then also with the second one. And then when I laid it down, now you can see that I've got it at 15.5. So then I decided it was time to press it. And I pressed it from the front side. I just took my iron and pressed and pressed and pressed and moved it along. Then I was ready to put the little pieces on that we were just talking about. That you cut the diagonal and fold it in half so you know where the center is. And then go over here to this end piece and fold it in half so you know where the center is. And we're ready to put it on and stitch 1/4 of an inch. Well, you have one more that you need to do. Same process. Half. And lay it down and stitch it, then press it back. And then you're ready to trim the whole thing. And that's where you're looking to be 15.5 inches long. When you get ready to do the long side, you're going to need 17 of these pieces. And when you get them together, you want 36.5 inches. If you've got too much, you can go back and make your seams in a few places deeper. If you don't have enough, then go back and slim up some of those seams. Okay? So then you'll have the piece that goes on the ends. Then to keep going, you're going to take and you're going to put if you haven't put the green next to the Seminole row, you'll need to put that on there, and then you put your long one on. And that's the one that I extended to run out. And it's just, if you have an idea of how to get that to go in there, so, because it can be done. I mean, she did it. All right. And then once you get those on, then you get the outside on, you're ready to put the last row around the outside. And like I said, what she did was she went ahead and quilted it then, and then put another row of binding, not a row of binding, yeah, a row of binding, like for her quilt finish. And there you can see it. So let's get a better picture here. Okay. And on mine, after I got the trim on the Seminole piecing part, then I added another white strip around the outside, and I've got it ready to go and do some fun quilting on there because there's plenty and plenty of spaces. This is Stephanie at Hightower Stitching. This is a neat project. It's a project you think through. I will put information in the description. And thank you for watching. Please hit subscribe and like.